KHTS.com.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Alex Urbina radio show. We're broadcasting live from beautiful downtown Newhall, California, right here in your hometown station, KHTS. Today we got a special show for you. We have my good friends, both Jerri Serrati-Goldman and Carl Goldman. They are the co-owners of the radio station here in Santa Clarita, KHTS, and they are in the middle of a preventative quarantine for the coronavirus outbreak. In case you have been hiding under a rock and haven't heard, there's been an outbreak of a respiratory disease recently caused by this new coronavirus that was first detected in Wuhan City, China, which continues to expand. The Chinese health officials have reported tens of thousands of cases in China, and the virus is reportedly spreading from person to person in all parts of that country, and I'm sure it's already now in the United States. Most of them associated with travel from Wuhan, also being reported in the growing number of international locations, including the United States. Some person-to-person spread of this virus outside of China has been detected. My good friends Carl and Jerri found themselves in the middle of a quarantine while returning back from a vacation on a cruise ship. They're currently docked in Yokohama, Japan, and we have Jerri Serrati-Goldman on the phone. Jerri, are you there?
I am. Hi, Alex. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's to both of you guys. I hope you guys are making the best of your time together. And I believe Valentine's Day was yesterday. Is that correct?
It was. We get two.
And so, how were you treated on Valentine's Day? I'm sure Carl could not get a drone to fly out around the city of Japan to buy you things. What kind of goodies showed up?
Well, the biggest goodie was we got to go out on the deck and walk. So, you know, when you're in a situation like that, there's little things. So we got a couple, I keep calling them Christmas gifts. We got batteries delivered yesterday for our frother to make our drinks. We have very little powder left, but I still get to froth, was able to froth my protein drink in the morning. And then the ship gave us chapstick, a rose, a facial mask, a bunch of candy. So we got Christmas several times yesterday. Many Christmas presents.
You know, so refreshing to hear and see you guys in the frame of mind of still operating from being in a state of gratitude, which says a lot about your character. You know, not only myself, but probably, you know, thousands of other people in the Santa Clarita Valley and different parts of the world are tuned in to you guys and listening to your blog. And you guys really are right now being the example of letting people know that you can make the best out of some of what seems like the worst cases, you know, that we can have as challenges in life. I want to kind of go back a little bit before you guys headed out on vacation, and I want to kind of open this up a little bit and expand. Carl wasn't of the best of health before you guys headed out. Can you share with us what he was facing, what kind of challenges he was facing before you guys left?
Yeah, Carl unfortunately has had two challenges. He's had a acoustic neuroma in his ear, which has he's lost all his hearing in his right ear. And that's been a challenge for the last couple of years. Back in October, he started to feel some numbness moving up in his toes and legs and hands. And when he went to the doctor said, "Oh, this has nothing to." We just assumed it was the acoustic neuroma, and it was not. He came down with a separate disease called Guillain-Barré, and I'm not saying it the right way. Guillain-Barré.
Now, is that an autoimmune disease?
It is, and what it does is it's like a Pac-Man that eats away at your nerves. So he spent 5 days in UCLA getting infusions every night, got out in December, and had already had his radiation appointment to zap the tumor. And he had chosen a heavy-duty zap the first week in January, and I call it one and done for 6 months before they check it again. So when we got on the cruise, he was not seeing the effects from the radiation, and on top of that, the Guillain-Barré disease got worse. So as we went through the trip, he struggled a little bit. He wasn't able to do some of the things. We're with our good friends Mark and Jerri Jorgensen from St. George, Utah. So we had agreed if that had happened, that he didn't want to hold us back. So we went ahead and did kayaking and some bike trips through Vietnam, rice paddies, and some other things that he was unable to do. And as the days have gone on, he's gotten worse. And so we're just sitting back in prayer and hoping he's in contact with his doctors in California, and knowing the signs of, when it's to the point where he has to get hospitalized here, which we're hoping that doesn't happen. So we get out right now. We're supposed to get out on Tuesday and fly back on Wednesday. He probably will either go back into a hospital or have to go on a steroid treatment to see what the next step is for him. So it's just, every day in gratitude. He's still moving around. He, went up on deck with us yesterday. Still has a sense of humor, as you see in his writings every night. So we're just sitting back in prayer and hopefulness that, this too will pass in our lives.
Since he's been battling the challenge with the inner ear disability, I've been noticing that he's been a little bit more excited to spend more time with you, and learning a little bit now how to balance his work schedule, because to me, Carl Goldman is one of the hardest working men I've ever met, and what a true champion he is. But I think in the last couple of years, he's been wanting to, spend more quality time with you and go on vacations a little bit more, and you guys have been doing so. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, was it not linked that new illness that he got was linked from something that happened regarding your last trip that you went on vacation?
We don't think it was the last trip. The last doctor we spoke to about it is caused either by a virus, which Carl never had, or vaccinations. The last doctor that kind of said if it was any of the vaccinations, because he's going to be 67 actually on the 22nd, he had a series of vaccinations when we went last February for a trip we took to Africa, and then 2 sets in August that were shingles and pneumonia, which is one of the things they give you when you're 66 now. And the doctor believes it was probably the shingles virus that caused this.
So there is a possibility that could have been caused from one of the vaccinations.
Absolutely.
Okay.
He was never sick.
Got it. Okay. So he started dealing with that, and then there was a concern that you had shared with me and him and Carl about really wanting this trip for him to be really sure about his health and mental state. And you had his best interest at hand, because I remember you sitting down with me saying, I really am concerned about him and want to make sure he's 100%. And you even asked me to sit down with him and have a conversation. And I remember sitting down with him and looking at him and doing my best to try to talk him out of going on this trip. And he looked at me dead in the eye and said, no, like, this is one of the things on my bucket list, and I want to go. And so he was very convinced about wanting to be on this trip, which, for me, it's like good for him, right? And so he courageously went on this trip. You guys had a great time, and he was able to manage that and take care of himself and get rest when he needed to, and then allow you to go out and do what you needed to do and have your good time. And so it was a great balance. And then on your way home, you stop off in Japan and you get some shocking news. I'm guessing. Walk us through that. What did it sound like when you heard the captain come over the speakers and say what they said, and what did they say to you?
Okay, so let me just step back. So the trip actually been for his health a huge gift, because even though he wasn't able to do some of the things that we were able to do, he was still able to rest a lot more than he would have at home.
Got it.
So that's another one of our blessings.
So multiple blessings on this trip, as well as much as able to go out and see other parts of the world and get to have these rare experiences. He also got to take time to heal himself as well.
Exactly. So Sunday, the last Sunday of the trip, we were supposed to be back in harbor on Tuesday. We're sitting down. The food on this trip has been beyond fabulous. I can't explain. It's one of the best cruises that we've ever taken, with food and with just the different places we've seen. I mean, we went to some amazing countries, Taiwan, Hong Kong. I mean, just some amazing, amazing experiences. So Sunday we're sitting down, and the captain gets on and said, hey, just to let you know, there was a guy that got on, an 80-plus-year-old man, and he got off in Hong Kong. He had contracted the virus and 4 days later reported it. So the captain said, we're going back to port a night earlier. So they jammed back to port. The Japanese officials would not let us dock. We were anchored out in the harbor. And Monday we got up, and we figured, let's get up and go exercise on the ship so we can get our steps, and that's my girlfriend and I. And they said, hey, can't go into port right now. We don't know what's going on. Hence, we have free reign of the ship on Monday. Tuesday morning, we're all packed, ready to go. Our suitcases were put out Monday night, and we were told to put them back in. That was kind of like a sign of, uh-oh, something's up. And got up again early to go walk. And as we're getting ready to go out, on the loudspeaker, the captain says, hey, the ship's being quarantined. We think that there's more cases, and 10 more cases at that time. And we were not allowed to leave our rooms.
When you say we weren't allowed to leave our rooms, what was it? Was it stated like you need to stay in your room, or did you open up the door, look down the hallway, and you saw like guards standing in the hallways, or what led that impression like I can't leave?
Well, he said you can't leave your room right now. Everyone's quarantined. I did, of course, look out the door, and there were not guards, but the ship employees,
right.
Attendants, watching to make sure we did go out. A huge blessing was that we have adjoining rooms with our friends, so you can open up the balcony, which we did the first day of the cruise. So we would go back and forth via the balcony when it was time to go to dinner, shout out in the morning, whatever, you guys ready to go, whatever we were doing. So we had the open balcony, which was, can't believe what a huge blessing that is, because I think if it was just Carl and I, it would be maybe a little bit more difficult. But
challenging.
When you have friends, challenging. When you have friends, you have partners in crime.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think I've laughed more in the last 14 days than I have in the last 5 years.
I love that. Now, but you piqued my curiosity a little bit, because you have these shared rooms with these great friends of yours, probably some of your best friends in your life. Yeah, shared balcony. So you're able to go through each other's balcony into each other's room, and that's the kind of relationship you guys have because you're great friends. Now, what's going through my mind is after the quarantine, did you guys have a discussion like, hey, if one of us have it, I guess we all have it, or did that conversation not even come up for you guys, or you just rolled the dice as a foursome?
You know what? In my mind, I thought about it, but never brought it forward because I didn't want to bring it forward. What's kind of ironic is the Sunday night right before the captain got on the ship, it was like, guys, I'm not ready to leave. Maybe I'm ready for a longer cruise someday, but this has just been so much fun. I don't want to go home.
Oh, so you sourced it. You sourced the coronavirus. I'm just playing.
I sourced the quarantine. Yes, Mark says I sourced the quarantine. So I have kept my thoughts that have been in my head to myself because I don't want to source anything.
Right.
But yes, it's been in my head. I just haven't brought it out. We test ourselves several times a day. I've had a little bit of a dry cough. We're just not used to sleeping with air conditioning. So we test ourselves several times a day. One of the first signs is a fever. and all 4 of us have been totally fine, no fever. Mark and Jerri, Mark has had 2 kidney transplants. He's got some kind of disease, so he's gone through 2 kidneys. He has been tested. Both Mark and Jerri were tested a few days ago, and they're supposed to get tested again every couple days to make sure that they don't have it because of all of his autoimmune whatever meds that he has.
Now, you guys obviously have multiple challenges with both Mark and Carl not being as healthy, you know, and I'm sure there's probably some concerns both from you and the other Jerri as their wives. How has that weighed on you, looking after Carl and just being really concerned about him?
Mark's very healthy, other than having 2 kidney transplants. He's, I think, the last kidney, and we tease him that it was a turbo kidney. He's very healthy. So, but with Carl, you know, when we were in on some of the trips, I really encouraged him to wear a mask. He did some when we went off bike riding or kayaking. He would take a bus, and he was wearing a mask. We had gotten masks before we left the States for him, just not knowing that there was a virus, just being proactive with his health, not catching anything else because it is an autoimmune. So, yeah, it's been huge weight in my head is, you know, even when the thermometers, because they're cheap thermometers, if they test a little high, you know, we take them again or clean our thermometers and switch to make sure that, you know, it's not a high temperature. It was just a false read.
Now, they've given you guys these thermometers to self-regulate your own fevers or your own temperature to basically raise the flag and go, you know, hey, I might have a fever, and kind of let the captain know if that's the case. So you've been kind of self-regulating yourself. How often do you guys test yourself throughout a day? And then my other question is are you becoming a little obsessive with testing yourself?
More than 3, and like I said, I've had a dry cough from the air conditioner, so if we start coughing, because Carl's got it a little bit now too, we test more, you know, we're self-regulating ourselves more just to double-check ourselves.
Because I can visualize you, Jerri, you know, having, have one sneeze and you're running right to the thermometer and triple-checking.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I get it.
I mean, we're watching the international news.
Yeah. It's pretty intense, especially since you guys are getting spotted news sources, you know, and then probably a lot of rumors, and just, you know, I watch you guys talk to people on the balconies above you, and so I can imagine how intense it is in there, and everybody getting bits and pieces of news and then making up more of their own stories that might not necessarily be true. So I can imagine that.
Well, not only that, but for the last few days we've been facing the ocean, but for the first several days we faced them, the parking lot, with taking away daily, and, you know, the numbers go from 40 to 65. It's crazy numbers sometimes. And all the ambulances are lined up with these little Japanese guys in all the white uniforms marching to our ship. And, you know, you're listening to the ambulances all day long pouring in, taking one patient after another out.
Yeah, we got
trying to stay grounded with that.
Yeah, we got to see some of your footage, and I'm glad that you went live on some of that, because you gave us that perspective of what it was like to look down the balcony and then see all of those tarps and all of those, you know, people, you know, in full gear. And then panning over to the left and then showing all the media, you know, it must have been quite the experience. And then probably some stuff started coming back to you about all the different movies like Outbreak and all that kind of stuff. It probably was pretty intense for you guys.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we got to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this horrifying experience for you guys. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Kyle, guess what's coming up?
It's the KHTS Home and Garden Show at Emergency Expo.
April 25th and 26th at Central Park.
Free admission.
Over one weekend, over 20,000 homeowners, Santa Clarita homeowners, visit this every single year.
It's one of the biggest home shows in not just Southern California, but California.
My favorite is the marketplace.
It's local craft stuff. It's awesome.
A lot of activities for the kids. They've got the petting zoo, pony rides, And brand new this year, the very first Strut Your Mutt Dog Show benefiting St. Bonnie's Animal Sanctuary. How cool is that? If you want to be a part of this, there is always room for your business.
That's true. And this is an opportunity that is like no other. You're going to get, like you just said, about 20,000 people over the weekend to come and check out your business. So there's still vendor opportunities available.
That's the only question I have. If a vendor is listening right now and they say to themselves, that's what I want to be a part of, now what?
You can call 298-1220, 298-1220, or go to scvhomeshow.com.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly, or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
The Art Gallery of Santa Clarita Artists Association, located in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Railroad and Main, features local members' original artwork with changing exhibits every 2 months. Purchase affordable art for your home or as gifts. Open Friday through Sunday or by appointment. Artists wishing to join the SCAA can visit santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming shows, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Coming to the Canyon, Santa Clarita, Jared Neiman, Buck Cherry, Julian Marley, Mark Cohen, Taj Mahal, John B., Air Supply, Herman Sermon starring Peter Noon, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, The Dickies, TSOL, Kingdom Come and XYZ, English Beat, Queen Nation, Blood, Sweat and Tears, Berlin, and more. Country nights every Thursday. Join the Canyon for Valentine's Day for a Neil Diamond tribute by Fantastic Diamond. The Canyon is the perfect place to host special events, so call 818-661-7237 to book yours today. The Canyon, Santa Clarita, where music meets the soul. Tickets available through Ticketmaster.
Hometown, your hometown station.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show, broadcasting live from Newhall, California, right here in your hometown station, KHTS. We're talking about the preventative quarantine for the coronavirus outbreak. We have both Carl Goldman and Jerri Serrati-Goldman, both co-owners of the radio station. They're on that ship, on the Princess Cruise. And Jerri, thanks for being on the call with us on the first half. And earlier you were talking about... before you guys got the information about the quarantine, you were kind of sharing, you said you were sharing with your friends that you kind of wished that the cruise wasn't over yet, and we laughed about possibly sourcing that extended stay. But are you at the point now where you're like, I'm ready to get off the ship and I can't wait to get back home?
We're kind of.
What does that mean? Help me understand your frame of mind right now. Like, where are you at right now as we're talking?
I would love to be home, but I'm going to make the best of it. And, there's so many rumors out there, too, that, do we have to be quarantined for longer? Do we have to be quarantined in the States? So we're just kind of rolling because we don't want to have our mind set for something and then have another disappointment that we're not going to be home on Wednesday morning.
Okay, so what it sounds like you're saying to me is that you guys are open for anything. Obviously there's a part of you that wants to get back home and complete this, put it behind you. Obviously, so you can get Carl into some treatment and get his health back to standard again. But you're also open and setting your frame of mind, like whatever happens, we're ready to roll with it, because obviously being in resistance to it doesn't help the situation, correct?
Well, I happen to have this really amazing coach that's coached me for years to expect anything at any time in our lives. So that's what I'm doing now, so that we don't get, I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to be one of those people that we talk to on the balcony that, it's doom and gloom, and they're watching us create obstacle courses or outside laughing or doing whatever. I don't want to be one of the people we're talking to around our area either.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the the videos of you guys doing the little obstacle courses is such a great insight to who you guys are, as well as the Jorgensens. You guys are fun people to be around. You're light, but it's also been inspiring to watch you guys kind of roll with it and create a different kind of outlook and have the frame of mind of, hey, it is what it is, and we get to just deal with it one day at a time, and not let your fear go beyond the point where your fear runs you. And I say that very lightly because there's a difference between being afraid and then harnessing your fear, but also there's a difference between letting your fear run you to the point where you can start panicking and freaking out and then causing your situation to be worse.
And that's what I don't want to happen. And and there's a person that just asked a question on Facebook Live, Amanda. We do have to wear our masks now out on the balcony, but that just happened 2 days ago. So if you saw any of my Facebook posts prior to that, that was not something that we had to do. We do have to do that now. So to answer Amanda's question, that's been put in place 2 days ago. We are wearing our masks, and then when I go out and walk and do my obstacle courses in the morning or whenever, we are wearing our masks.
What's amazing is that this whole situation is so fluid and things change literally, minute to minute, hour by hour, that, it could be that the last 7 days you haven't really had to wear it, and then all of a sudden now you are. So it's hard for people to just peek in at a specific time and not understand that this thing has really been evolving, and there's so many different stages in it. And there's so many different stages you haven't even got to yet. Like there's the possibility or even the notion that you guys might have to be a continued quarantine maybe over here. And I don't know if that's true or not. I hope it's not, but if it is, I think you guys are hearing those things too, right?
Right. So we talked to the American Embassy several times because we've heard that several times, and the American Embassy is guaranteeing us that that's not true. And I want to explain something. I did not go live on KHTS Facebook Live yesterday or my own because the night before I got such hatred. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. That was the first time I was really down, with people telling me, don't come home, calling me names, saying things because we've got a mini suite, rich, horrible things were said. So I want to clarify a couple things. This was my 60th birthday and Christmas gift, so we splurged on a mini suite. Want to clear that up. The doctors, and the Japanese doctors are amazing, have told us that we will be better off than anyone when we go home because we've been isolated. So people that are afraid to be around us, we're clearer than you are. Alex, I'm going to be clearer than you are. You don't know who you've been exposed to. We haven't been exposed to anyone other than Mark and Jerri, who get tested every couple days. We do not have the virus and are not carrying the virus, unlike people even in the States that don't know who they've been around or exposed to. So for all those haters out there, I don't know how to get through. We're clear. We've been isolated. It will be for actually longer than 14 days, because our isolation started on Tuesday. They didn't count it till Wednesday.
Well, let me support you as your friend and as your coach. You're not going to get through to the haters. I'm sorry to tell you that. That's the bad news, is that people are always going to hate, and people are always going to have their own fears. And as unconscious as we are as a humanity, we don't realize that we project our fear onto other people, including good people who are doing the right things and crossing, all the T's and dotting all the I's. They're still going to be out there. And I don't want you to waste one more breath trying to convince a small group of people that just don't get you or get the whole picture. And it hurts my heart to know that, here you are trying to do a good service, and there's a whole group of other people that have been blessed by watching you share your story and captivated, and at night waiting for you to come back on again. There's this whole group of people that just enjoy that and are inspired by it. And then to know that your balloon got popped by a small few of people that don't know how to keep their fears to themselves. You're gonna have to learn how to just let them be. You're gonna have to have a big enough compassion to understand that in their shoes, their fear is so big that they feel like they have to express it because it makes them feel better, and it has nothing to do with you, and is not directed towards you. It just might be a venting of their fear and their frustration. And I hope that that. I hope that it doesn't stop you from sharing your journey, because it's been a pleasure to watch and inspiring to be a part of it.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. So now,
the other thing I wanted to share real quick is Princess Cruises. I can't even imagine what they've gone through. I mean, as a business owner, I think the biggest challenge that we've crossed are some of the fires in our community, or recently the Saga shooting, and how we had to, at a moment's notice, switch and move and make adjustments every time we turned around. And I can't imagine with 3,000, well, it's 2,000 plus passengers, how they did it so quick. The first day was a little rough, but after that, I mean, we're getting 3 amazing meals a day. Every couple days we get clean sheets and towels. So those I count as Christmas gifts too. I have a lot of Christmas gifts in February. How they're operating and the fear that the staff has. There's been a lot of rumors that the chef had it, and that those sleeping in the open room have had it. Well, when they come to our door to deliver stuff, I always engage in conversation with them just to check in to see how they are, and they're doing really, really well. Really well, which makes us really happy, because these are the guys that took care of us on a long 16-day cruise. And when you see someone that's delivering you dinner that it's like seeing your best friend that you haven't seen for 10 years, and that they're doing well.
That's
and
right.
They know, how's your, how was the waitress that you had at the table, or we got to know some people more than we ever had on this trip, some of the staff. And knowing that they're okay really makes a difference. In fact, we're checking in with each other via email.
Yeah, I'm sure that this whole situation has really created some bonds between all human beings on that ship. And sometimes we forget that the crew and the staff and what they might be going on, what they might be going through, and behind the scenes, it might be challenging on their side too. And so to have that interaction with you guys, and as you guys are grateful and you guys are checking in with them and having conversations, you're probably blessing each other on both sides. And what a beautiful story that is.
And when you get a dance every now and then, that's even better.
Absolutely.
Sometimes in the morning when you say, "Oh my gosh, how are you guys today?" and they start dancing, and we dance, a little bit because we're wearing our masks.
For sure.
We should be filming that. That's fun stuff.
Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind that whether you guys splurged or not and got yourself, the suite, the bigger suite that had the outside, patio and so forth, had you not and still been inside the middle area when there's no windows, I know that in my heart of hearts, you guys still would have been coming from the place of looking for the silver lining, and still coming from gratitude, and still trying to figure out how to make the best of what you have in that situation. And I know that your heart breaks for those people that are in those smaller, tight quarters. Do you want to share a little bit about that and how you feel about some of those people?
Well, we met this really lovely couple. They're American, and they're stationed in Japanese in the Army, husband and wife, and they have 2 little kids. So we were on an excursion with them, a bike riding excursion, riding around rice paddies in Vietnam, which was amazing. And we met their kids one night at dinner, 2 and a 4-year-old. They're in a room with 4 bunk beds, and we have not seen them at all. And my heart breaks for them. I know that the Princess has gone beyond with putting, you get Sudoku, you get crossword puzzles, you get crafting stuff to do. They're constantly adding movies and TV shows. They're doing all they can, but at the same time, boy, that's going to be one clever mom and dad that are going to have to come up with stuff 24/7. And those people are also being let out on the deck. We don't get as often, which blessings that they're getting it. We've got our deck outside. They get to go up more often, which is a huge, huge gift for them, too, I would imagine. Because I couldn't imagine 2 kids. You would have to be spot on all the time.
Yeah, your job as a parent doesn't turn off. You're 24/7 trying to figure out how to make the best for your kids and really support them and maybe even counterbalance each other.
Are they in diapers?
I know.
I mean, I'm doing laundry in the bathtub, and that works great. I'm going to do laundry today because hopefully it's a sunny day and the clothes will dry. But could you imagine diapers in a room?
I know. There's a part of me is like, there's no doubt in my mind that had this not be some kind of a viral outbreak that was airborne, there's no doubt in my mind you wouldn't have had people probably staying in your suite. You probably would have packed your little suite and letting a lot of those people come in and just to get a break, just to get, or even probably swap rooms with them for a couple nights because of how heartbreaking it is. Oh, for sure. That's a given. That's a given.
Yeah.
Just to give them some time alone. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, listen, we're hearing, I just saw an article that just posted probably an hour ago, and the headline reads, "Passengers finally begin to leave coronavirus hit cruise ship in Japan." And then the subtitle is, "So far, 11 virus-free passengers have been allowed to leave the ship." So I'm wondering, are they spinning this in a specific way? And I'm sure there's more details than this, right?
Much more details. So the 11 people that got off yesterday were people that are over 80 with chronic illnesses that have to now go into some type of quarantine living in Japan. And I would imagine there's only, I don't know where Carl is. This room's so big, just teasing. I think he's in the bathroom. I think there was only 200 to 400 Americans, maybe 200 Americans on this trip, so mostly Japanese. And around the cruise, it was mostly older Japanese people, too. So I would imagine it's people that already live in the country, have chronic illness, have to go into a quarantine home for the remainder of the quarantine, and at least they're home in their, or even if they're Asian and live somewhere in China or wherever. So it's not, anyone cannot get off. That's, yeah.
So we're clarifying, and per the article, obviously the title was to just hook you to read the article, but if you read a little further, it says at least 80 or older or have medical conditions or have windowless.
It's not or.
Well, they put or in there, but I understand.
No.
At least 80 or older, have medical conditions, have a windowless room on the ship, and they must have tested negative for the new coronavirus. So you're saying it's all 4 of those. It's not an or.
Right. Correct.
Got it. Okay. All right. So but at least we started something. We started, moving passengers off the ship into a different kind of quarantine on the mainland there in Japan, and but they're still being quarantined, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so what are you guys being told once you guys are done? Whether they decide to let you go a little bit earlier or all the way to the end date.
There is no early. We already know that.
So you're staying all the way to that date of the 19th.
Yeah.
All right.
And we also know that they're going to be testing everyone on the way out.
Okay.
We had a flight scheduled. We've changed our flight 3 times. Another Merry Christmas was that the Princess is giving us refund and a credit for a future cruise. We've changed our flight 3 different times. We just changed it 2 days ago. We decided we did not want to get into a stressful situation of Tuesday having to catch a 4 o'clock flight. So we decided let's switch it to Wednesday. And we didn't want to be in a situation. There was another flight where on a Delta with Delta, going out at 6 o'clock, but it's like a 20-hour flight through Minneapolis. And with Carl being the way he is, we didn't want to do that either, so we rebooked for the 20th just to be safe, not to be stressed out, and just to get out, take our time getting off. We'll have to go get a hotel somewhere in Yokohama or close to the airport and not have that stressful, oh, my God, we got to get out. We've got a 4 o'clock flight. If not, we're going to, miss that and get into the 6 o'clock and take 20 hours to get home.
All right, when we come back from the break, I want to talk a little bit more about your transitioning off the boat and getting you back home. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
This is Bradley Gross from Santa Clarita Grocery. Santa Clarita Grocery serves fresh groceries to families, individuals, and those experiencing homelessness. At Santa Clarita Grocery, out of every dollar donated, a full 99 cents goes directly to the needs being addressed. As an all-volunteer-led organization, we operate on a 1% overhead, receiving no government funding for our operations in the community, resulting in us being one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. If you're looking to support the good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery. What is donated is specifically kept in the Santa Clarita Valley, helping over 3,000 families, including 5 other community charities. Please visit our website, santaclaritagrocery.org, or visit us on social media or call us at 425-7575. That's 425-7575.
Senator Scott Wilk fights for us, even when it isn't the popular thing to do in Sacramento.
That's because Scott's roots run deep here.
And he cares about his community.
Thanks to Senator Scott Wilk, 6,500 of our neighbors will have new, good-paying aerospace-related jobs.
Our local schools are better funded, and educational reforms were enacted to improve the quality of education.
Scott knows how rising health costs are hurting our families.
That's why Senator Wilk is fighting to make health care more affordable.
Why he held pharmaceutical companies accountable for price hikes.
And required health plans to cover breast and ovarian cancer screening. Senator Scott Wilk cares.
That's what makes him so effective.
Re-elect Senator Scott Wilk. He delivers.
Ad paid for by California Alliance for Progress and Education, an alliance of business organizations. Committee major funding from California Association of Realtors and California Building Industry Association. Not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS. We're talking to Jerri Serrati-Goldman, who is still in quarantine for the coronavirus outbreak. It's a preventative quarantine to try to figure out who might test positive for that virus. And we have Jerri Serrati-Goldman on the phone. So you guys are testing yourselves 3 or 4 times, if not 5 times a day, just to make sure that you don't have any of the signs. Is that correct?
Yeah, and my husband just corrected me. He read the report and heard the report from the captain differently than I did. It's or for the 80-year-olds.
Okay.
It's either they have a choice, even if they don't have chronic illness, to get off the ship.
So they have an algorithm to try to narrow down the passengers who are really, fit in that bracket, right? They're deciding that they're able to now transition off the boat and into different kind of quarantine on land.
Right.
All right. So now, so you guys have been testing yourselves religiously,
quite
right?
Often.
Quite often, 3 to 5 times, if not more, every day. Now there are. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm hearing rumors that you might not even see signs. That you could still be a carrier. I've heard things of being a super carrier, and I don't know how much of that to believe. It's almost like this thing is new, and that they're still trying to figure out how it works and all that kind of stuff.
Well, the other thing is that what we were told, so we don't, because you know, what you're hearing on the news, so much that we're seeing, we're not even believing. But what we were told is that that this takes 10 days to come about. We are now on day, I don't even remember. We did the count. We're, I think, on day 12, where we've been isolated. So we're making up the story, and I've become a really good story maker, that we are free of even getting the virus because we've not been around anyone else.
Okay. But all that can change at any given moment depending on your transition. And that's why I wanted to talk a little bit about your transition, getting off the boat, onto an airplane, flying back to the States. Like, how have they told you what the game plan looks like, how they're prepping that transition? Is there any talk about that, or you're just kind of waiting to see how that rolls out?
We're waiting to see how it rolls out.
Okay.
I've talked to the American Embassy a few times because of the concern of once we got back in the States that they were going to quarantine us for 14 days. So that not being true, along with the American Embassy telling us that we're clear, just as the doctors on the ship are telling us that. So, you know, unless they keep, you know, I'm not one of those people that believe in all the stuff that, you know, when you hear all these theories or Bigfoot like you do.
The conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think China's been transparent about this thing at all.
Right.
Because the people that are being treated in the States that find it right away, they're giving them an IV and ibuprofen and they're walking out fine. So why are people dying in China? Why are people dying? Are they waiting too long, or are they not being, I mean, something doesn't, 1 + 1 isn't adding up here.
Yeah, but there's a lot of factors that come into play that we probably don't talk about, and that's the condition as the human beings are when they're